Hello everybody, Jay here once again, back with another video, and today we're taking a look at some Automobilista 2. A game that's had a lot of discussion since their last update in terms of it being much improved in the force feedback department. So I thought we'd jump in, have a race. Now a lot of people have been doing the American DLC content, a lot of the other cool cars that are in this game, but I thought it best that we jump in some GT3, something that we know from ACC and iRacing, where I spend most of my time. So we've got some sort of comparison in terms of the same type of car to see how we get on. So look, let's just jump straight in. We've got a 10-lap race around Brands Hatch, and we've got formation laps so we can have a little chat while we're going around them. We qualified 6th on the grid. This is literally the first race that I'm doing. So we have set up the wheel, made sure everything works, done a short 10-minute qualifying session, and now jumping into a race. So it's as fresh as it could be in terms of learning the game again. Now Automobilista, the original one, is still one of my favourite sims of all time. And when Automobilista 2 was announced, I, like everyone else, was incredibly excited. You know, in my very basic sim racer's brain, you had, in my mind, you were going to have the physics from AMS, which was essentially an uprated R factor, with the graphics of Project Cars 2. I thought that's a match made in heaven, surely. Again, basic sim racer brain. What I didn't realise was, of course, well, I didn't even realise AMS was built off R factor at the time that I used to play it. I'm quite sure what's going on with this. I think we're now forming up 2x2, so that's what's happening now. I didn't even know that R Factor was the game it was based on, and I now know, obviously it was, and that AMS2 is based on the engine from Project Cars, not just the graphics engine but the physics engine. So it was not a bit of a disappointment at release for me. I found the cars very difficult to understand. I'm not sure if we're double file or not here. I don't know if I should have put the formation up on this. Seems like a terrible idea what the AI are doing, but hopefully they'll sort themselves out. And I found the cars very yawry, so difficult to understand, and when you put in steering input, there was a lot of opposite reaction to the wheel, for me at least, and I just didn't get on with it. Did try some VR, which, to be honest, this game shines at, and I do hope to do a video of that soon. But right, let's just get this race underway first. This is really to see how the car feels, what the racing's like, and what the AI is like as well. So let's get the first lap underway, then we can have a bit more discussion. Right, we're underway. If I remember to shift up, down from turn 1 at Brands. Always a crash magnet of a corner. Self-planted on the outside. Brake as late as possible to try and see if we can close the door on this BMW here. Which we do. So the GT3 is available at the moment. The McLaren 720S. I think it's the BMW M6. I don't know if the M4 is in this game or coming to it. There's a lot of DLCs I don't have. And then the Porsche 911. So we picked the McLaren because it's probably out of the four the one we've driven most recently in ACC. And the biggest thing that I can say to this game's credit, since picking it back up in what has been half an hour back in the game, is it does what, in, again, my basic sim racer's brain, any sim needs to do, which is you can jump in and immediately know what the car's going to do. And that's, for me, from what I can remember, is the biggest improvement from where it was. I can immediately react to what the car's doing and start driving it on some sort of limit. There's still a little bit of the opposite yaw that I've sort of felt in the force feedback before, but it's nowhere near as pronounced now. And the fact that you can jump it, any of the big sims, iRacing, Assetto Corsa, R Factor, even Race Room, again, Race Room is something that I plan to do a video on to try out their new force feedback, which came out a long time ago now. I'm always behind the curve on this channel. Yeah, it's just, you can jump into those any time and be very quickly up to some sort of pace because the car's just reacting as you would expect a car to do. like that. Nearly broke my wrist, I nearly crossed my arms, but apart from that, we're all fine. But yeah, I mean, the physics seem to be good enough now. I mean, I'd still say they're lacking, especially compared to ACC. But again, this is a sim that's focusing on multiple different disciplines, whereas ACC has the advantage of just focusing in on one. So I'm interested to go try it. You know, this game's got a lot of really cool formula cars, some Brazilian touring cars. There's a lot of new American content, like the old school 98 karts, and some like IMSA stuff. Please don't hit me, Porsche. So we'll try some of the other disciplines, but GT3s are good enough, you know. They're you can feel what the car's doing. The graphics in this game are amazing. It shouldn't always be a big concern, but AMS for me was always the single player game. It's always the one that I'd go in with some cool mods or some modded F1 cars, just to do some single player content. It was never an online thing for me, and I've got plenty of that with ACC and iRacing. So I'm interested to try the VR again, and interested to try some of the old Formula cars as well. See what they're like. But right, let's see if we can start getting a bit of a charge on while we've been chatting. Just about managed to avoid missing the Porsche. And on the single player instance, I want to see how this AI reacts to some side-by-side action. Let's see if we can stick it down. Stay close through here. That's too close, that's grass. I think we're doing better when we're commentating. Yeah, I'm very impressed so far. Like, say, it hasn't got... It's gone well. As well as you would expect. And see, ACCL would have been able to catch that, but we've only... better there somewhere, Jay. I'm going to come the rest of the field. Right. What I was demonstrating there is giving ourselves a good opportunity to see what the AI are like by having this slow group coming through that we can now fight with. That's what I was very professionally doing there and demonstrating. See, I could feel what the car was doing when it when I lost it there, but maybe just not enough experience in this sim with these cars. I really need the tyres to clear up a bit. So yeah, I'm kind of looking for a game to have those single player races back in again. AI in iRacing is very good, and do plan to do a video with that where we take a look at racing our fantasy grid from the Fox Sports Sport Fantasy series. But it's not quite as immersive as this game promises to be. Right, there's clearly someone struggling up here, so let's try it and get ourselves in amongst this and see how they react. I like the old testing livery on that Mercedes there as well. That's the fourth car, by the way, that we got at the beginning. But again, I can feel it's communicating to me force feedback, which is what you want. It's not as polished or as refined as ACC. Much more communicative to me than iRacing. iRacing I always felt was a bit numb, but I think we've all just grown to learn how that game reacts, although it's got a lot better recently. Right, alongside, there's no context or weirdness happening, which is good. What if we're really late on that McLaren? Yeah, it did turn in, but to be fair, I was sideways, and he probably wasn't expecting it. Sounds the other thing. Sounds are I don't know what that motor's going to do there. sounds are passable. They're not quite as visceral as ACC are. But I'd say they're better than iRacing, or at least on a par in a different way, I guess. The other one that I'm interested to try, so we're going to try Race Room and R-Factor 2 in the coming weeks, and sort of run some content on all three of them to see the differences and how we get on, because they're free sims that I've not played for a long time since getting so into ACC recently. I'm really interested to see how they will come on. They've all changed in a lot of different ways. I mean, AMS2 has obviously got the updated force feedback, as has Race Room. Race Room comes from Simbin, who's one of my first proper simulators. I started sim racing a little bit too late for sort of R-Factor's heyday, but I used to play Race 07, Race On. To be fair, R-Factor was still about at the time, but I didn't discover it for another couple of years. I certainly didn't have the equipment I have now to test it out. So I'm interested to see how they've all come on. But I'm having a lot of fun. Like, now we said single player content. I might like to try and see what the online scene is like. I know it's coming to the Sim Racing GP, and I feel like that is something this game really needs. Some organised league system or event system like that. Because I haven't looked at the. That's a day late on the dollar short. Again, we're just testing them, see how they get on. But yeah, I'm interested to see what the marketplace is like. It used to be completely dead when it almost came out, so I haven't looked at it today since putting the game back up. But something like Sim Racing GP could be massive with how this force feedback has come forward. So we'll try them all out, maybe for some online content as well. Again, I feel like we are so blessed in the sim racing community that we have so many, but it is also a hindrance at the same time, in that you have a massive division of the fan base. It's a fan base that's massively grown over the last couple of years, but it's still divided nevertheless. No, seconds. And there's just too many sims for the marketplace. That's one of the problems with online racing for those that aren't as popular. People will go where the player numbers and where the big events are. Now I've been very slow on that corner every time. I will pretend it's purposefully. I just need to carry a bit more speed through. But again, shows fairly good AI. Remember, a lot of AIs of the past will just go straight into the back of you there and not adjust. So at least they're doing that. And they're fighting each other, which is good. It's not just a procession, so that keeps things interested. What I might be not adjusting to here, again my basics in race are very not adjusting to, is the dirty air. We didn't have that in qualifying when we were testing. I feel like I can't quite carry the speed through. That could well be dirty air, in which case it's being very well represented. Or I'm just being an idiot. Each are equally as likely. Door bashing. Plenty of space left to the Porsche. Plenty of space, no problem. Now, force feedback, we're using the base Fanatec settings, something that I can recommend to anybody if they're trying a sim for the first time or just got a new wheel Fanatec. Put in the game name and then Fanatec settings, and nearly always the first result will be Fanatec's own forum posts that show a basic settings guide for FanaLab and for each game individually, which are a good base points to start off with. Force feedback is only something that I've really started looking into a lot the last 6 months in terms of how to set up each game, and it makes a huge difference if you get it right, but at least you get a starting point. Fanatec settings is normally very good. I still feel like this is a bit over exaggerated. Like, but then I look at stuff like ACC and iRacing sometimes, iRacing especially, and then I look at onboards from actual GT3's IRL, and I do feel like they're working the wheel a lot more than that force feedback communicates. So maybe. It's something that I'd never really, and 99% of sim races will never be able to tell you, because we're never going to get the opportunity to drive a GT3 car. I mean, today is definitely not an advert for me to get a drive, that's for sure. If anything was clear. But let's get down the inside of that McLaren. I love that these guys are fighting so hard. The aggression's only on 50 as well for the AI. The level's on 110 out of 120. They're really going at each other, which I like. I like to see. So this GT3 experience, it really isn't as refined as other sims, but as I've mentioned many times in this video, I'm a basic sim racer, right? I like to take it seriously at times. We do a lot of leagues, endurance races, which if you know the channel you'll know. But I also just like to muck about and drive cars, pretend cars. That's why we all get into it, really, isn't it? We all end up competitive because it's the nature of it replicating a sport. But if we're asking, is this a fun experience to just jump in and play? Hell yes. So the graphics are fantastic. The other thing which you haven't mentioned that AMS2 does very, very well, which Project Cars 2 did incredibly well, it's weather. The wet weather evolution and the way that rivers form over the track and the transition from wet to dry. From what I remember from Project Cars 2, no game even got close to how that game did it. ACC's getting there, but certainly from a visual representation, Project Cars 2 didn't get close. Nothing got close to it. And that's something we will try out again in this game, and another big string in its bow, especially for VR, I would imagine. So there's a lot of things going for it, and yeah, AMS1 I jumped onto very late, and obviously they were just picking up from where R-Factor left off, and I wonder, some people that might know, that might have played it, might be able to let me know, but if R-Factor, the original one, took a long time to get to where it was when I potentially played it 4 or 5 years after release. You know, they've essentially done the same here. They picked up the mantra from Project Cars 2 when Simply Mad went the opposite way with 3, sort of an arcade game, and they're now improving on it. And to think that this is the same physics engine as Project Cars 2 is mad to me, like how much it's moved on. The communication through the wheel and the predictability is great. I was having so much fun, I didn't even realise that we'd finished the race. A hugely impressive 28th there. Brilliant job. 27.5 fast lap, so we should have been up there if we didn't spin. But yeah, look, that was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. MS2, one to keep an eye on. Like, it's a lot of fun. Keep tuned for some further videos on some different type of content within AMS2. We'll try some online, we'll try some VR, we'll try some different car classes, and see how it is. Same thing, say I want to try R-Factor 2 again, Race Room, just try some other sims and see if we can just get back to having some fun. You know, the ACC we do generally is super competitive with the endurance or the league racing. iRacing is always competitive because it's always your iRating and stuff on the wall. Same with the endurance there, so it's just nice to get into a sim and just enjoy driving without anything on the table, really. AC's always been my turn to for that, but thought we'd try out some different sims and see how we get on. But quite a lot of that video was quite serious. It wasn't meant to be. I'm by no means an expert on sims, as I've said in the past. I play it just to enjoy it, like most of us. So there was some coherent thoughts in there, maybe, some terrible driving, some okay driving. And that's what you can expect in the future. Thank you everybody for watching, and we'll catch you again very soon.